Okay. The demon realm. What to do about names. The moment that you hear demon realm, right away you got a kind of instantaneous prejudice, in a sense. Remember that when we're dealing with the demon realm, we are dealing with something that in so many ways we know very little about. That is the influence of the design crystal bundle on our lives. And the influence of the design crystal bundle on our lives in the sense of the day-to-day programming that takes place. And it is programming that takes place that is specifically related to the body. And specifically related to the body in the sense of the demands of form. Everything about the demon realm, everything about the way in which we are influenced by the demon realm is about the form principle itself. It is not about the themes of light and love and all of things, the sweetness that we can get programmed from the light. This is not about indulging the personality. This is all about the form and all about replenishing the program of the form. And I guess replenishing is probably the right word. The 19th gate is a gate that carries huge significance in our lives, and our lives in this interregnum, in this nine-centered rave, the transformation that's going to take place when the mutation takes place in 2027. And of course we were dealing with histidine. We're dealing with the relationship of the 55 to the 49, and of course the 49's relationship to the 19. One of the things that is a part of that is the coming dysfunction of this channel. In other words, literally the shutting down of this channel. It's something that I've mentioned that, the future is going to hold many less dreams, in a sense, for those who will come after the mutation. And the 19th gate, when we think about it, first of all, this is a portal bridge gate, and next week we will talk about these various portal bridges and their significance. It means that any one of these gates that have this role, like the 12th gate, that expresses the mutative, homogenizing potential of the earth plane, the 62nd gate that is about love and love in the detail, the whole personality programming of our consciousness. Here we're dealing with something else. We are dealing with environments. Everything about the demon realm, everything about this dream realm is about environments. It is about form itself. In a mammal, the 19th gate is a territorial gate. It is the understanding that in order to be able to survive, the mammal cannot do without a secure territory. A secure territory in which it is going to be able to have the food resources that it needs in order to survive. And the 19th gate, if it is nothing else, is the archetypal gate of need. It is the pressure and the root of need in the life. And it is the root of need in the life in humans, and it's the root of the need in life in mammals. And the very neediness of the 19th gate is focused on one thing and one thing only. It is focused on form. Form. It's all about the form. And of course, this is the work of the design crystal input. Now, there's something interesting to understand about the dreamer. If we could deconstruct the dreamer, we would see that the dreamer has a certain frequency. I've talked a lot about how it is the work here of the magnetic monopole. that creates out of its attraction frequency that holds together the design and personality that brings about the illusion, that the illusion itself gives off literally a frequency. Some of that we describe as aura as an example. There is a frequency that is given off. Now, in every being has the potential to have what is in fact a true frequency. A true frequency. What is a true frequency? That is, if you're operating correctly according to your strategy and authority, it means that as you are operating throughout your waking time, that the frequency that is the byproduct of your life, that frequency is correct, and in its correctness it means that you have access to the deeper levels of cognition that are available to you from the lack of color transference, the pure movement of cognitive information through the crystals into the form. This is the correct frequency. Now, of course, one of the things that we know about the nature of this frequency is that this frequency can be altered by what we put into the illusion, if I can put it that way. And what I'm referring to is food. And this is a realm that is dominated, inspired, and conditioned by food. I mean, for example, if you're somebody that is dominantly light field, food is not going to influence the quality of your dream. But boy, if you're demon realm, what you eat is going to influence your dreaming. And it influences it in terms of what it does to the frequency itself. I mean, we talk a lot in PHS about the digestive process. I mean, it's one of the most important things to understand about our form potential for uniqueness is that, we are genetically endowed with the possibility of differentiating. But our ability to differentiate means that we have to have precise nutrition. We have to be nurtured correctly. And of course, this precise nutrition is what we work with in terms of PHS. In other words, to find out what is the correct dietary regimen in order to bring into the vehicle exactly the right nutrition to support what is the unique frequency. It's about food. And in understanding the demon realm, it is one of the things to recognize about the way in which the person that has strong demon realm potential in their design is that the very intensity or lack of intensity of their dream life is going to be directly related to their dietary regimen, what they eat. Now, as we know, in terms of the digestive process, most human beings with their evening eating, that, when by the time they are going to sleep, their body is still in its digestive program. It is still processing. And of course, what it processes, in essence, everything can be reduced to, the common denominator of frequency, that if the food is not correct for the enhancement of the uniqueness, it distorts the general frequency. Those distortions emerge as dream archetypes. Dream archetypes. Reminds me of my early experimentations with pharmacopoeia, various kinds of mushrooms, psychedelic and otherwise. And one of the things you notice about them is that they have personalities. I mean, they have personalities. In the stronger ones, you actually get, creatures appear and stuff like that, but they really have personalities. There is, after all, a personality in just about everything that we eat, if you know what I mean. We take in other life forms into our body. And those other life forms they carry, regardless of how they've been prepared or not, they carry a specific frequency. That frequency comes into our system, and it is through this food chain that the demon realm, this is where it gets its stimulation. This is where it hones in on certain things. So it's something to grasp about, having a strong demon realm, is that these are beings, for example, that if they are having a difficult dreaming life, because after all, at its most negative, the demon realm can be frightening because it's about form. It's about form. It's about, it's about bodies, and it's about decay, and, it is about aggression, form, violence. It is about hunger. It is about all of these things that are form related. It is about survival. It is about, and it's all form. And it can be quite frightening. However, it can be ameliorated by a proper diet. One of the interesting things that we will see as we move on in the future of all of this work that we're involved with now is the impact on those that carry dominant demon realm, the impact on their dream life when they have the correct PHS. My assumption is that they will have a totally different quality of dream life. There are some very deep and beautiful aspects to the demon realm. Next semester when I do analytical work, I think you'll have a better idea in that sense of, each of these various areas that program us while we sleep. They all carry interesting aspects to them. There's no question about that. But here we really have to come to grips with what is the basic imperative here. What does the design crystal bundle want? What does it want? What it wants is better forms. It wants better forms that are able to house reflected consciousness, self-reflected consciousness. It's not like the light field that tries to manipulate the consciousness. This is all about the form principle trying to make a better brain, make a better body. That's what it's about. And of course, for the vast majority of human beings who carry the demon realm, they do not get the benefit of what sleep can give them. There are some things in the homogenized world that we can truly resent, if you understand my gist. That is, homogenized, not self-personality thinking is not necessarily something that one wants programmed into you while you're unconscious. But the revitalization of the vehicle, the ability to properly rest the vehicle, freshen it, make it ready for the next day, is very much a part of the programming of the demon realm. And of course here, when you're looking, you get to see it in a sense. And you get to see it because if you look at, all of the circuitry that would be there, that is, all of the circuitry that runs, through the whole program here, all of this stuff that's there. If you look at all of that, what you get to see is that the format energy for the dream life is here in the demon realm. This is the format energy. This is, literally the heart and soul of the regenerative sleep. It is about trying to correct the damage that's been done to the body during the day. Now, of course, the unfortunate part of this is that it can only work with the material it has. In other words, it's not curative. It's maintenance. And, if it's maintaining a dysfunctional frequency, you're going to experience that in the dreams because it's not going to work. There's going to be something wrong. And then, of course, you end up in these various dreams in which the form principle doesn't work. that there's something wrong. That there's something wrong with the environment, that there's something wrong with the dimension, that there's something wrong with the vehicle itself. That there's something terribly wrong with the other. There's all of these things that are rooted here in the demon realm. And this format energy, maturation, and maturation literally in the sense that, this is the day by day process of the body, being maintained until death. Because that's basically what it is. And each evening sleep is part of this cycle. It is a cyclical format. So the demon realm, there's a number of things that we have to keep in mind. We're going to have clients, as an example, with demon realm activations who are going to be quite disturbed. And you'll notice that disturbance, when they're awake. That is, so much of it will have to do with their relationship to food. The demon realm can be deeply, deeply distorting when it comes to food. Food is really what this is all about. It is what the life is sustained by. And what we understand in PHS is that more than that, it's not just simply what sustains us, it is literally what can perfect us. And obviously, if you're not eating correctly, and again, it is not going to affect your dream life on the earth plane or in the light field, but it will deeply impact your dream life in the demon realm. If you've got a child, for example, that has strong demon realm activations, you're going to be able to tell right away whether you're giving them the right food or not as to how disturbed their dream life is. The nightmares that they may suddenly be getting has to do with what you're feeding them as much as it has to do with anything else. And of course the tendency is to look for some kind of psychological framework which to latch onto this. Remember, these things are not personal. They're really not. They're generalized programming that each of us as an aspect without consciousness processes, without self-reflected consciousness. So the thing to grasp about the demon realm is that it's at the very basis of the dream program. For example, it seems to me that we know that it appears that the fetus dreams, and it's clear to me that this is where their dream life comes from. That is, it comes from the deep form principle. It comes from the food itself. This is what will have a direct impact on it. And it really gives you another perspective on diet and sleep disturbance. And I don't mean, by the way, there's an enormous number of human beings that have very little recall of their dreams. Very little. Not everybody has that kind of sleeping pattern where they're very close to the surface and they have a lot of recall about dreams. Most dreams fly by without them ever being consciously recaptured later. And there's this huge programming that is going on underneath that is all deeply related to diet. I mean, it's deeply related to diet. And, one of the things that can be a very powerful combination is the combination of working with people that have very difficult dream process. Because remember, let's say that you're somebody that's demon realm, you don't have the right frequency, you don't remember the dream. Yet when you wake up in the morning, there is an exhaustion, there is a certain kind of nervousness, there is an unusual either appetite or lack of appetite. The disturbance is already there. The fact that you don't recall it, the fact that you didn't have recapture of the dream doesn't mean that its influence wasn't at work. And of course what happens with the body, when the body is conditioned through the dream realm, is that in the waking life you're carrying this, this drive towards some kind of resource some kind of need, that you're being pushed towards something that you need that you don't know. I mean, you don't know what it is. There is just a discomfort. So many human beings have, they have energy problems when they wake up in the morning. There are an awful lot of people who have tremendous weakness, have all kinds of what are very modern sicknesses related to not being able to sleep properly. And the relationship between the demon realm and PHS is one that is going to have to be explored. It is certainly going to make an enormous difference in the vitality of these people when they wake up. I mentioned to you that if you're somebody, for example, that is carrying the 5342, or for that matter the 515, or the 2750 in your dream rave, there's a lot of activity going on in terms of the body while you sleep. Without proper nutrition, this can be very exhausting. I mean, it's the kind of people that wake up and they feel like they've been working all night. They feel like they've been involved in something and doing something all night. They feel exhausted when they wake up in the morning. And again, particularly in dealing with the demon realm, to understand how important it is, what exactly are you digesting while you're sleeping? Because of course, if you have not taken in the nutrition correctly, you have a dysfunction in your frequency. It means that there is homogenization going on. It means certainly that your personality, if there is recapture of the dream, that the personality is not going to do a very good job with catching that correctly in that sense, with cognitive acuity. It's not going to be there. So everything having to do with the demon realm, it begins and ends with food. Food is very, very important here. And obviously, again, what we're going to see is that because of food conditioning, and we have this vast food conditioning that takes place, the demon realm as such has the wrong reputation. I mean, it does. It has the wrong reputation because, of course, what happens is that if the digestive process is, homogenized, what you're going to get is that you're going to get the worst aspects of these particular activations, or the potentials of these activations in the demon realm. And their possibility is very different, the moment that the frequency would be correct. In other words, the moment that the digestive process would be correct, the filtering system for the message, would be much purer and much more aligned, obviously, to who the being actually is. And the end result of that is not so much what the dreamer recaptures, but the regenerative quality of the waker, the body, that the body feels good. There's something else as well. This is about the evolution of form and the programming of the evolution of form. And it does mean, like the hippie cliche about, every day is the first day of the beginning of your life. In many ways, according to the demon realm, this is actually true. In other words, if you're not homogenized, you actually get the advantage of, new potentials in terms of your body's capacity when it awakens. And of course, if you're not taking in food correctly, then, the opposite can be said. That is that you're going to have dysfunction in the body during the day. You're going to have weakness in the body during the day. You may have early exhaustion, all of these things that are possible. So, keep in mind that the subject here is food. And, it is a very interesting one. Okay. Hard to teach when your nose is blocked, folks. I have to tell you, that's quite a movie. Just catching my breath is a movie. Anyway, the 19th gate. Environments. Wow, this is everything. Those dreams where you're You're in a room and you don't know why. These rooms, these bodies, these forms, these spaces, the environments are everything. They're everything. What you'll get to see when we do the analysis is that the very environment is an indication of problems in the diet. You know? I mean, the environments can go from being very, very frightening and spooky, to being environments that are simply a joy. I mean, simply a joy. I mean, real pleasure. But of course, it's all being driven by need. And when the needs aren't there, then the environments become, frightening, mysterious. They haunt you. I mean, they can really haunt you. It's probably the most spectacular of the portal bridge gates. Because, of course, this is when an environment can be transformed, when a door opens and one actually steps into something quite unbelievable. So environments. Let's look at the format. And we start the format with the 53rd gate, which is the gate of beginnings. And this theme of flight, flying dreams, falling dreams, they're all here. And you can't stop the body from falling. You have to struggle to keep the body in flight. It's about the call of gravity. It is about the entrapment of form. And ultimately, in its deepest clarity, it's about knowing how to surrender to form. I mean, to surrender to one's form. But this beginning, this driving adrenal energy, and this adrenal energy of, going beyond, truly going beyond, and going beyond means that one has to accept the form, has to accept the form's limitations. When you cannot accept the form's limitation, you are either trying to fly or you're falling. It's that simple, You're either trying to fly or you're falling. It reminds me of one of the few and truly spectacular dreams I've ever had. I was, I seemed to come to consciousness in the dream, and I am flying, and of all places, I'm flying over southern Florida. The eastern coast. I spent a lot of time there as a kid, and it was an adult dream. I don't know. I must have been in my 20s, and I'm flying. I'm flying. I realize I have wings, feathers, and I have this moment of actually feeling the muscles. Funny thing, dreams. Feeling the muscles. I can feel muscles in my wings. And then my shoulders start to hurt. They start to hurt. I start feeling pain. And I can't figure out in the dream what is the problem. I just feel this pain and this pull on me, and then I look. And I see that my feet are bound together and with some kind of rope or cable. And it's going all the way down, maybe, a couple of 100 meters, going all the way down to the beach below. And there's a crowd of ant-like humans who are yanking on my leash and pulling me back to earth. Surrender is no flying, no falling. And in the body sense, and only in the body sense. And of course, if we relate this specifically to PHS, we will see that this gate 53 will not be about flight or falling anymore. I mean, it won't. Funny what food will do, eh? I mean, it has no direct influence on the other domains. It doesn't. It only has direct influence here. But obviously, the correct digestion is something that's going to be of value regardless of what your configuration is. But boy, if you're somebody that has the demon realm, not simply that it is so important in the sense that if you have the demon realm, it means your body is vulnerable. It means your form is vulnerable. It means the form is vulnerable. It just does. And of course it means that you're going to have very, very disturbing dreams. That, by the way, was a very disturbing dream for me. It just was. And by the way, just so you understand one of the great principles of human design, at that time in my life, I was married and I was sleeping with my partner. Guess what? My partner was a 2838. And my partner was a 2838 with the 53rd gate. And I was sleeping in her aura. And, I borrowed her dream. And whatever else that did to me in terms of the influence on my own body and so forth and so on. In terms of her, she had to take in me, which, is another story altogether. It's so important to sleep in your own aura. It's really essential. You don't want to get something that really isn't for you. I mean, it isn't for you. Dying. The dying dream is a fascinating one. A lot of people have dying dreams. Interesting that many dying dreams, according to what I've read, they usually take place before a sexual maturity. That is, it usually takes place in young children. Obviously, the form principle is based on degeneration as much as it's based on generation. The form principle can only perfect itself through genetic renewal. And everything about genetic renewal, I mean, it is coincidental to my work this morning in the quarters, dealing with the 42nd gate in the last 4 hexagrams of the quarter of initiation. And the 42nd gate is deeply connected to this, the genetic imperative of passing on genetic information through the gene pool. That it is the goal of the genes that is to be satisfied, not the individual life. One of the things that's clear to me about the 42nd gate is that it is very much connected to I have to be careful here. It's very much connected to how close you're going to be to the guarantee you were given when you incarnated. Everybody has a serotonin count when they are initiated, and it basically gives you a kind of spectrum of how long that vehicle is basically guaranteed to last. Is it a 70-year vehicle? Is it an 80-year vehicle? Is it a 90-year vehicle? I'm not talking about accidents, disease, all of these kinds of things. I'm just talking about the potential of the vehicle to survive. There is a renewal that has to take place. There is maintenance work that has to be done. And again, please remember that the demon realm is about body maintenance. And when you're having problems as a dreamer with demon realm, it means your body's not being maintained properly. I mean, ultimately that is that is the key. And though we'll be able to see different analytical qualities, our dilemma is not going to be trying to interpret, for a child that has a very difficult demon realm configuration, not rationalizing or trying to deconstruct for them that, their flight, their dying, whatever the case may be, that this is all okay and it's normal and don't worry about it. No, it's a sign of a problem, but the problem isn't psychological. The problem is that, your body isn't being looked after properly. Let's find out how we can look after your body in a better way. If we do that, you're not going to have those kind of dreams anymore. It's not something we can say for the light field that we can clean up the light field, by changing something. I mean, in essence, the only thing that cleans up the light field is if you love yourself. If you love yourself, then the light field is sort of, it's not offensive. But here you can concretely do something for a client. Concretely do something in terms of you've got very, very specific information about the vehicle, about the way the form is operating, and you know that it's not operating correctly. I mean, it's going to be one of those places where, my hope is always that people in human design are multidisciplined, and many of you are. Many of you have always taken all kinds of different courses with me. And this is the kind of thing that when you're doing somebody's PHS and you see that they have a strong demon realm in their design. And by the way, the software will be ready for the next semester. Right away is the question for them. The question is, what's your dream life like? Is it difficult? Are you having problems? Are you having difficult dreams? Are you concerned? Blah, 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 all that stuff. Because what you'll see is that, yes, it's directly related. And you can really help them psychologically by letting them know that, the dreams are not about their personal thing. I mean, this is the thing that I find so damaging about contemporary psychological, whether it's Freudian, Jungian, or Boogiean, whatever it is, dream analysis, is that it's always about trying to pin it on some kind of personal psychology, and looking for a way to heal that. You can see so clearly that here in the demon realm, hey, you're not having this dying dream because you're suicidal or depressed or fucked up, or, it's not because your wife left you or your dog peed on your leg. It isn't about any of those things, you silly person. It's about your food and what you eat and when you eat it and how you eat it and on and on and on. And, the human beings go through such a trip with all this stuff. I mean, they do. And you see where the earth plane is a natural place where people are intended to share their dream life. So much of the demon realm dreaming is repressed. I mean, even amongst those that recapture, it's like there's a quality to it that you really don't want to share with somebody because you're afraid of the psychological interpretation. It's one of those things that has happened with the pop psychology of dream analysis, is that, that there's all of these, all of these archetypal images. Oh, you were in a tunnel. Well, you got a sexual problem. What? Excuse me? We have developed a whole interpretive game around images that we don't properly know where they come from, don't know why they arise the way they do, and yet we give people all of these interpretations about them as if somehow, we're going to benefit them psychologically rather than just doing what we do, which is confuse them. I mean, the demon realm is a great example of this. It's also one of those places where, I'm a teacher of form principle. I see how clean form can be. It's like, just deal with it correctly. Give it what is correct for it, and all of the difficult stuff goes away, because all of these dreams in that sense are simply a byproduct of the dysfunction. They're a byproduct of dysfunctional digestion, because everything about this is about the food. If the frequency isn't right in the body, none of this is going to function correctly. None of it. And so you're going to end up getting the negative qualities, the dark qualities, the demonic qualities that are there. And of course what we end up with is that we end up interpreting this as negative, and of course it's not. It's not at all. As a matter of fact, it is only the demon realm that actually helps us consciously by letting us know in that sense. These dreams with all of their power, once you understand the concept, you can see right away, this is your dream environment. In your recapture, it's saying to you, look, do something with your food. Because if you don't do something with your food, we're going to keep on having these horrible dreams. And you don't want them. And it's just food. I guess that's about as powerful a combination as you want to deal with. Just the very names, aggression, fear. The 38th gate obviously can carry into the waking life. When the form isn't correct, there is a struggle for survival. There just is. When your form isn't correct, slowly but surely you are degenerating or deteriorating at a rate that is not correct for what is your intended physical capacity and longevity. It's not. And of course, everything about the 3828 screams survival of the fittest. It screams it. It just screams it. And this is the very root of intuition. It is the very basis of the socializing of creatures. It is the 2838 that can transform integration and transform it into something that is, human, so to speak. Change it in its social dimension. The 28th gate is the pursuit of purpose. Purpose. That it is not enough to be alive. It is not enough to be alive if one cannot fulfill one's purpose. Now, when you take this in the vehicular sense and see it as, there you are with the 28th gate, there you are with your dream, and you are overwhelmed with fear, whatever the hell it is. Whatever it is, it's going to be something physical, and you're overwhelmed with fear, and you wake up in a cold sweat. What that's telling you is that your vehicle is not ready to find its purpose, because it isn't functioning properly. And it's not functioning properly because of food and diet. Quite something when you think about it. Because so many people will suffer from this, and understand what the body is telling you, because of course in terms of design you always get this very direct, fixed truth. It's saying to you, want to find purpose in this life? Then you're going to have to dream without fear, and you're only going to dream without fear when you eat correctly and you change your frequency. And once you change your frequency, then you'll see you will dream without fear. Oh, you get something so much better. You do. You get to see, in a sense, that you can reach your purpose. It's all about your body. See, your body has to be ready. Your brain has to be ready. The neurons have to be ready. The chemistry has to be ready. The frequency has to be right. And please understand something. The vast, vast majority of human beings that carry demon realm activation while they sleep obviously do not follow their PHS. No real need to say that. It's just the way it is. And you can tell what this is all about for them. And they wake up disturbed. Disturbed. Their dreams can haunt them. And they end up being driven, by needs, the needs that will come in the waking life through however their not-self mind operates. They will have a sense that something is wrong, but they will not know in any way what it is. They just won't feel right. They won't. And the 38th gate? The 38th gate can be incredible. I have, one of my sons has 5 activations in the 38th gate in the dream rave. And he eats according to his PHS. Didn't always, because didn't really get into all of that, no. And by his very nature, he's entered into that over the last 4 or 5 years. All of that's gone. He used to have very, very aggressive dreams. Violent dreams. Dreams where you commit the violence, or the violence is committed on you, or the violence is threatened. There's this sword hanging over your head, whatever the case may be. He used to wake up in the night, frightened. And of course you don't know what to do. And as a parent, you worry about, this or that, because of course you're caught in the same homogenized bullshit as everybody else. This is just a dysfunction in the digestive system. And the moment you ameliorate and heal the digestive system is the moment that the aggression goes away. It becomes something different. It's one of the things to understand about a binary system. Human design's a binary system. Deeply, deeply dualistic. Don't get caught in seeing things one way. It's like the channelist struggle. The channelist struggle is the dominant name because it suits the not-self. But this can be the channel of no struggle whatsoever, in any way, shape, or form. It's all relative to correctness and awareness. And you see, the channel of struggle is not like the 1156, the seeker that never stops looking even when they find something. The 3828 is here to get its purpose. Not to get its purpose and still look for something to fight about and struggle for. And when you understand this in the deep sense of understanding design, recognizing that everything about our possibilities in this life, our cognitive possibilities, are the illusion that we live, the beauty that's possible in the life that we live, that all of this is rooted in whether our vehicles operate correctly or not. It's about the vehicles. And we know that there are a number of ways that we can correct the frequency. But you see, the fact that as a waking being, you can align your frequency constantly to what is correct by following your strategy and authority when you're asleep, there is no strategy and authority. Is there? You're asleep. What's at work then, at least in relationship specifically to the demon realm, is your digestive system. This is carrying the correctness of you, if that digestive process is a correct process. It's a great way of recognizing how well aligned your body is. I think that, at the higher level of this knowledge, if you're somebody that carries these activations, it can be a great gift. Because you get an indicator. You really can get signposts that tell you, whether you are all right or not. And remember that this is where your body is either going to, maintain its relative well-being, or it's going to more and more deteriorate. This is about the vitality of you cellularly. It's really it is so important to understand that this is the key for, waking up with a healthy vehicle. It's very different for the, for the light field and the earth plane. Because in fact, they don't have the connection to the form. They don't, that's what makes them both similar and different to each other. They're not connected to the form principle at all. Only the demon realm is connected to the form principle. And so those people who carry demon realm activations, there is weakness in their form principle. They are susceptible to conditioning, dietary conditioning. Not the kind of conditioning we think about normally, but dietary conditioning. Again, the 19th gate, the work of the 19th gate, the whole food theme that is here. So, this is a classic case of, our ability to be able to verify the validity of this knowledge. It's one of the many examples of where we can actually develop real case studies and be able to show the transition. That is, from somebody who does not operate according to their PHS, who's demon realm dominated, what happens to them? What is their history? Excuse me. What is their history before PHS, and what is their dream history afterwards? The transition is extraordinary. The transition will really be extraordinary. And of course, that's not really what's the interesting part is. The interesting part is that the moment that, that you have that transition, the moment that the digestive system is correct during sleep, obviously you have a revitalized body. These are vehicles that, if they're properly looked after, can have a very healthy life. And if they're not properly looked after, digestive-wise, food-wise, that they're always going to have problems with their bodies. Their bodies are not going to be correct. They're going to be homogenized, and they're going to run into dilemmas. And obviously at the psychological level, in terms of dream recapture, their recapture is going to be the distortion that's at work in these 5 areas, and these distortions can be very, very uncomfortable. And again, what happens in the not-self, without awareness, you end up with concerns about, your psychology. And of course, it's a joke. There's a part of you, because you're being programmed to understand there's something wrong with the body, the way the body's being treated. But of course, you don't get the message like that. The message comes through the way in which the dream is constituted through its activation. So, you end up with an aggressive dream, and for you that has nothing to do with what you had for dinner and whether that is correct or not. For you, it's some kind of psychological, why am I being so violent, and do I have a problem, and am I repressing this and that, and do I really hate that person, and was I trying to kill my mother, and, it goes on and on and on and on and on. And all they need is, a very simple PHS dietary regimen. And particularly for the people who have the 19th gate, the dream rape, if you're a 1949 or you're a 49 like me, there is the possibility and correctness of really spectacular dreams. Cosmic, but it's all about the body, and it's all about food. If you look at, comparatively, these 3 different areas that we've been looking at, the program of the personality from the personality crystal bundle, the programming of other humans in the consciousness field, the homogenizing field, the deep homogenizing field, None of them directly influence the body. They don't directly influence the body. They don't. They're actually there to influence the mind through recapture. There's much more recapture, dream recapture from the light field and the earth plane than there is recapture from the demon realm. And only the demon realm is directly connected to the body and the importance for the body in waking. And of course, this is where you're going to have all of these people that have, sleep dilemmas, sleep anemia, whatever it is, these various problems that people have with, they wake up in the morning and, they're exhausted and they can't function properly, or they wake up with severe back pain, or, there's all kinds of things. The fact is that here is where we have the most destabilization at the physical level. In other words, indications from the dream plane lived out in physical dilemmas in people that can be solved directly by simply being able to transform the way in which they eat. That leads to the return of course, one of those dilemmas that I've talked about quite often now, about PHS and the power of PHS. It is so essential that people are operating according to their strategy and authority. Otherwise, it is not something that they can be prepared for. It is quite a commitment to enter into your PHS. And you really need to see the validity of becoming yourself. You need to understand, you need to at least grasp what it is that's possible for you when you're operating out of strategy and authority. I had a reading the other day from a woman, somebody who's relatively new, very excited about human design. And but they can't even grasp that they're a manifesting generator. I mean, it's still, the questions they ask, it's so obvious that, and yet at the same time they want their PHS. I can be quite blunt. I said, you have the slimmest chance of being yourself, let alone being able to eat properly. Let's do one thing at a time. Let's begin the deconstruction. Let's begin the deconditioning. Let's begin alignment, and that begins with strategy and authority. Give your body a break. Allow your body to start making decisions for you so you can begin to align the frequency. Then there are so many things that can be done. The same thing for, dream analysis. You'll see that when we do, analytical work, that there are many things psychologically you have to work with when you're dealing with the light field and you're dealing with the earth plane. But here it's physical. Here you can really discount all of the psychological possibilities and simply go directly to source and simply change the dream pattern entirely. So, demon realm is fascinating. It is a fascinating attribute of all of this. Okay, well, I made it. Look at that. Hopefully I have a good night's sleep and survive all of this, but glad we were able to do it. It is a fascinating subject. And until next week, you take care, be correct, and if you've got demon realm stuff, you better start looking into your PHS. Okay, till next time. Bye for now.